Have you ever seen one of these at a sleepover? A game, right? Just a piece of cardboard and plastic. That's what I thought too, until I started digging deeper. What if I told you that this so-called game has a history far darker and more complex than most people realize? Today, we're uncovering the scary truth about Ouija boards that no one ever talks about. And trust me, after this, you might not look at them the same way again. First off, let's get one thing straight. The Ouija board wasn't some ancient mystical artifact. It was patented in 1890 by a businessman named Elijah Bond. It was marketed as a wonderful talking board, a magical portal to the wise and mysterious. Initially, it was just a parlor game, a fun way to spend an evening. People were fascinated by spiritualism at the time, this idea that you could talk to those who had passed on. The Ouija board capitalized on this perfectly. It was sold in toy stores, right next to Monopoly. But here's where it gets interesting. The creators claimed they asked the board what it wanted to be called, and it spelled out O-U-I-J-A. When they asked what that meant, the board simply replied, "Good luck." A little cryptic, don't you think? So, how does it actually work? Science has a pretty straightforward explanation. It's called the ideomotor effect. This is a psychological phenomenon where your muscles make tiny, unconscious movements based on your thoughts or expectations. When you and your friends put your hands on that planchette, you're all subtly guiding it, even if you don't realize it. Your brain anticipates answers, and your body responds. It's the same principle behind things like pendulum dowsing. So, the scary messages spelling out your deepest fears? It's likely just your own subconscious, or your friends, playing tricks on you. That's the scientific take. But that's not the whole story, and it's certainly not where the legends end. The real shift in how we see the Ouija board came from pop culture. Remember the 1973 movie, The Exorcist? That movie single-handedly turned the Ouija board from a curious parlor game into an instrument of pure evil in the public imagination. The film depicted a young girl becoming possessed after using the board, and suddenly, everyone was terrified of it. Before that movie, Ouija boards were relatively harmless. Afterward, they were seen as a direct line to demonic forces. Sales actually skyrocketed after the movie, but the context had completely changed. It wasn't a game anymore, it was a risk, a dare, and this is where the psychological danger really starts to creep in. When you sit down with a Ouija board, you're opening yourself up to suggestion. The room is dark, everyone's a little nervous, and you're all expecting something supernatural to happen. This creates a state of heightened anxiety and suggestibility. It's a psychological principle called a priming effect. You've primed your brain to look for spooky connections and interpret random movements as meaningful messages. If the planchette spells out a warning or something negative, your mind, already in a suggestible state, can latch onto that. This can lead to genuine fear, anxiety, and even paranoia. People have reported hearing noises, having nightmares, and feeling like they're being watched after a session. It's not necessarily a ghost, it's the power of their own mind, convinced by the experience that something is wrong. This is what paranormal investigators call opening a door. Whether you believe it's a literal spiritual door or a psychological one, the effect can be similar. By focusing your energy and intention on communicating with the unknown, you're essentially sending out an invitation. Many paranormal experts, even those who believe in spirits, warn against using Ouija boards for this exact reason. They argue that you have no control over who or what might answer that invitation. You might be hoping to talk to your sweet Grandma Rose, but you could end up attracting negative energies or entities that feed on fear. Think of it like making a phone call to a random number and asking, "Is anyone there?" You have no idea who will pick up on the other end. Now, let's talk about the stories. There are thousands of them online. People claim the board spelled out future events that came true, revealed secrets no one could have known, or even named entities that then proceeded to haunt their homes. One famous and chilling case is the story of the Zozo phenomenon. Countless users across the world have reported contacting an entity that identifies itself as Zozo. The encounters are almost always negative, with the entity being manipulative, threatening, and causing chaos in the users' lives. Is Zozo a shared cultural nightmare, a product of the internet age? Or is it something more? Regardless of its origin, the fear it causes is very, very real. Another aspect people don't consider is the psychological projection. When you ask the board a question, you often already have an answer in mind, even if it's buried in your subconscious. The board becomes a mirror, reflecting your own hopes, anxieties, and fears back at you. If you're worried about your relationship, you might unconsciously guide the planchette to spell out goodbye. This can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. You see the message from the board, believe it's an external truth, and then act in ways that make it come true. It's a dangerous feedback loop that can have real-world consequences, all stemming from a game. So, is the Ouija board a dangerous portal to the other side? Or is it a powerful psychological tool that reflects our own minds? The truth is, it's likely a bit of both. The ideomotor effect is real. The power of suggestion is real. The anxiety and fear these sessions can create are absolutely real. And for those who believe in the paranormal, the spiritual risk is also very real. The scary truth no one tells you is that the biggest danger of the Ouija board might not be the spirits it contacts, but the darkness it can unlock within yourself. It taps into our deep-seated fear of the unknown and our desire for answers, and it can twist those things in ways that are genuinely unsettling and psychologically damaging. Ultimately, whether you're a skeptic or a believer, the Ouija board demands respect. It's not just a toy, it's a focal point for powerful psychological and, some would say, spiritual forces. The real scary truth is that by playing, you are tinkering with the delicate wiring of the human mind and belief. And sometimes you can't be sure what you'll switch on. Maybe some doors are best left unopened.